Hey, it's Rob. Welcome to Axel's Garage. We are back here with Uncle Sam's old slicer. And I left off with you guys. I had disassembled it and I was cleaning it. And we used, to get this thing clean, we used Super Clean. And Super Clean did a great job. It was greasy. You know, it was, when you touched any part of it, it was sticky. And that's just the nature of these things. If they're not thoroughly cleaned each time you use them, especially in a commercial environment, they're just going to start to get sticky. And in an old school mom and pop butcher shop, they got sticky over the years. So there was just like a layer of almost like seasoning when you season a cast iron frying pan on it. So we were washing them, and the black just kept coming off, and it never ended. And what we soon realized was that, I guess just over the years, and the paint that they might have used back in 1940 when this thing was made, the paint was coming off. So we got the grease off, and then the black that was still coming off was paint. And the paint was coming off just using degreaser. So we thoroughly cleaned it with degreaser, got it real clean, and then I actually took some 600 grit wet dry with the degreaser, using that as my lube, and gave it a light scuff, because there were some spots where the paint did not come off, and there were some spots where the paint came completely off, some spots where there's primer poking through and no paint. So we just wanted to smooth it out, so we used a 600 wet dry to smooth it out with the degreaser. And I wasn't filming because the battery had gone dead. I had the camera down here, but the battery went dead, so I just wanted to get it done. So we got it cleaned. Just a note, I really wasn't sure how to get the blade off. There's a nut down on this end. There's some kind of nut that takes like a spanner tool on this end. Couldn't find any information online on how to get the blade out, and I didn't want to screw anything up because it's in there good and it runs good, and it's real sharp. I don't know when the last time this thing was used. It's at least 25 years ago, but I just banged it with my finger, and I put probably a 6 to 8 stitch slice in my finger that I didn't get stitched. I just taped it up really good and kept cleaning it. But yeah, if I could get this blade off easily, confidently I should say, it would have made this whole process, because it would have been easy to tape off and paint and everything, but I'm not screwing with it. I'm just going to try to be real careful. In the meantime, there was only 2 feet left on it, the little rubber feet pads. So we're in the process of trying to find something that we can use for rubber feet pads, but I got it up on 2x4s so that I could thoroughly paint it well. So what we did was, the middle part of the motor here, all the paint came off completely, and it's got like a metal band. So we're going to leave that bare, and I painted the 2 ends of the motor black, and just used regular black enamel, nothing fancy. Did clean it after we degreased it and everything. I cleaned it completely down with lacquer thinner. Taped off that thing, taped off the blade, taped off the mechanism, you know, the gear to raise and lower it, and painted that black. Any overspray that got on the chassis is fine, because we're going to paint the chassis as well. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to tape off the motor and this piece here that's all painted black. I let it dry for a few days. We're going to tape this off so that we can paint the chassis of the slicer. Also, what I've been doing, and I'll show you a little bit later on, is I took all the individual pieces and really scrubbed them down because they needed some individual attention. I tried to polish the chrome using a little felt wheel on a Dremel. That mixed results. It's a lot smoother to the touch. It is a little bit shinier. I'll put a picture of it here, of the before and after. Here's the before. And here's the after. It's hard to tell on the picture, but it is shinier and it is smoother feeling, but there is some pitting from age in the chrome, and it's never going to come back to its glory without being re-chromed, and that's not what I was looking to really do here. I just wanted to get a refurb, and we're kind of restoring now. But it's going to work out fine in the end. I'll show you all the pieces, like I said, later on. In the meantime, I'm going to tape up this black part of the motor, and I'll show you what we got going on. I'm going to try not to touch any of the parts I still have to paint on the chassis. this is the best choice of paint to put on it, but I have it, and it has really good coverage, but it's not very forgiving. It's a little old technology when it comes to paint. It's an Eastwood product that I bought many years ago, and it's been sitting on the shelf, and before it goes bad, figured I'd use it for this. Alright, after a lot of cursing and yelling off camera, we figured out that it was just a bad can of spray paint. Because I had a couple more on the shelf, shook them up, and they're spraying fine. They're not coming out splattery, it's not runny. So I was able to fix those runs with the masking tape trick, which is just putting a little masking tape up to it real light. Don't press too hard, just touch it up with your thumb, pull it back off. It does leave a little bit of roughness, but hopefully your next couple coats of paint take that roughness away. It worked. So we put a nice coat on. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to shake it up real good, and I'm going to hit those real hard to reach spots because stuff is in the way. Make sure that they're covered so that my last coat can be a nice heavy coat on the parts that you're going to be touching all the time, because that's what you want, a nice heavy smooth coat. So we're going to go with that, and let me shake this up good and make sure I get those parts good. Alright, I'm going to let this set up, and I'm going to give it one more coat. Still got more than half a can of paint left, so I'm going to put another coat on it. Alright, what paint am I using? I am using Eastwood's Argent Silver wheel paint, and the reason why I'm using it is there's two reasons. I wanted a paint that was durable to cleanings, to repeated cleanings. It's a deli slicer. It's going to get cleaned over and over and over again. And I happen to have it on the shelf. So, twofold. I've used these on Chevy rally wheels over the years on the cars, and the paint does put up with repeated cleanings, whether you're using wheel cleaner or brush, one of those soft bristle ones, a harder bristle brush, but it actually does really good. It does give a good protective coating that's very cleanable, and the paint doesn't wear off. And I think this is going to work good on the slicer, because the slicer is going to get cleaned all the time. Every time you use it, you clean it, you need to wipe it down. So it goes on nice and smooth. It's a nice gloss finish, and it's very little orange peel in it, and it's easy to clean, and it's durable. So that's why I'm using it. I happen to have it. If I didn't have it, I'd be looking for something similar. So it was a no-brainer. The color was exactly what I was looking for, and I think it's going to work. One more coat, and we're going to call this good. In the meantime, I'm going to show you some of the parts that we took apart. First, I have all the hardware that I now got some paint splatter on that I'm going to have to. But I got all the hardware out of the ultrasonic cleaner, and I got it laid out here. Some of these parts are going to go in the vibratory cleaner. You got knobs like this that do have some rust residue on them that they completely cleaned. We're going to put them in the ultrasonic. Not the ultrasonic. They've been in the ultrasonic. We're going to put them in the vibratory. So anything that could use a little bit of an abrasive polish, a mild abrasive, we're going to do with walnut shells and new finish car wax in the cleaner there, and that should clean them up enough where we can start assembling. All the other hardware, like the studs and small screws and stuff, have all been through the ultrasonic, and they're all clean. Let me show you what they look like here. So we've got everything laid out right here. Here is our catch.
basin. This is the slider bushing for one of the rods. Alright, we're going to go on the ultrasonic with all that. Here's our stamp that we cleaned up, but we got a little silver splatter from that bad can of paint that was sputtering and splattering. These screws came out pretty good. We might put them in the walnut shells as well. Maybe some of these flat washers we'll put in the walnut shells. Something like this will do good in the walnut shells. But we'll get all that stuff cleaned up this week while the paint sets and dries thoroughly. You can see it actually looks pretty good. We're going to go one more coat. Alright, so all the other parts we have laid out here, they've all soaked in degreaser and citric acid. These parts here, we cleaned thoroughly after it came out of the degreaser, and then we polished them with some metal polish and a felt wheel on a Dremel to get them as best as they could come out. Still got to polish the weight. Still got to polish the door, and we need to check on this one here. Has the roller bearings in it, and one roller bearing spun free, one was gunked up. It didn't appear to be damaged. Didn't appear to be damaged, but it didn't spin, so I think after the degreasing and I spray some lube in there, that should spin. These things cleaned up pretty good. That's just the that's not any kind of dirtiness. I think that's from when they spray this porcelain coating on it, however they put the porcelain coating on this. So this just needs a wipe down before it gets reassembled. This has actually been soaked and everything, but there's still some residue on it from the degreaser. This one here has got an aluminum backing. That we could probably polish it up a little bit. We might polish that up, but we were able to get everything out of the crevices by soaking it in the degreaser, so that's all nice and clean. Alright, our two main sliding rods here. These are solid steel, pretty heavy. Soaked them in the degreaser, and then took some light oil and a Scotch-Brite and just got all of any kind of residue or anything that was on them, and dried them really good so they wouldn't rust. They'll get lubed and reinstalled. This one is the slider rod for the weight that this weight goes through, so this one's going to need a little bit more attention. It might need some like 1000 grit sandpaper or something just to get it a little polish on it. And then this is our handle. Our handle needs the most work. So you can see how here, same thing, the paint was coming off. So what we're going to do is we're going to sand this down, and we're going to paint this black. It'll be contrasting to the gray, and we're just going to clean out that hole with a brush. That's also a slider. One of these rods goes through that, and this slides on the rod. But everything else came out really nice, and we got some rubber feet. A little bit. So on eBay, I was able to find some rubber feet. Couldn't find ones that were as fat as the rubber feet that were on there. The rubber feet that were on there had about 1.5 inches diameter. These have about 7/8 diameter, or an inch. Was it an inch? It was an inch. So it's 1 inch diameter. It's a 1/4 inch lift, which is what was original on it, and 5/8 in there, which is what we needed to fit into the hole. So probably just a little bit of glue, a silicone, and we'll pop these up in there, and these will be perfect for rubber feet. The thing won't slide around. And they were like, I got 8 of them because they only came 8. I only needed 4. So if one falls out and we lose one, not a big deal. So that's it. We still got a lot of work to do. We'll take you along in the next video once we start the assembly process. Hopefully by the next video I'll have this thing painted and cleaned out and ready to go, and then we could do the assembly, lube assembly, and got to get a new wire in it. And once that's done, we're going to be slicing cold cuts. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you know anything about these old slices, this is I'll put the model number in the description and in the title, but this is a 1940 slicer. It's got a date code on the motor itself from 1940, and it's got a date on the blade, handwritten, that's lasted through the 81 years, but handwritten on the blade.
It's got a 1940 date code. Pretty neat. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching.